The crisis continues in China. This time, Evergrande was closed or liquidated by court order. Also, UN employees were involved on October 7, the attack that spiraled the Middle East conflict. And the question remains, will the US go to war with Iran? After all, a small group supported by Iran attacked a military base in the US and they killed 3 American soldiers and wounded many others. These are the things we're going to be covering in today's video. Without any further ado, let's get straight into the video of today. As usual, we're going to begin with Bloomberg, and the Bloomberg main headline is about Evergrande liquidation, which is a big test for international creditors. Now, in my view, Evergrande is not yet a big test for international investors. After all, only 20 billion of the over 300 trillion in debt that Evergrande has, it is outside China. In my view, the real test will be when Country Garden will be liquidated, if that comes to happen. Evergrande to me is just the first domino. And yes, if this crisis continues and the real estate in China collapses, it's important to understand that the main cause, the main propeller for the GDP in China is the real estate. And the collapse of a company such as Evergrande is a problem. The issue is Evergrande has received a lot of money from Chinese investors, from regular people, and Evergrande cannot deliver those homes. Now what happened is the population in China are not going to receive the houses that they already paid for, and that will put the price of the real estate into a crisis. Now a lot of people in China and the globe, they measure their wealth with the appreciation of the real estate that they own. Now with this crisis, the real estate in China is very likely to drop in value. When that real estate drops in value, the balance sheet of many banks and people will feel poorer. At least those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know that on the comments below. Now, as I mentioned, Evergrande is not the biggest test. The biggest test will be what would happen when Country Garden collapses, because Country Garden is 3 to 4 times bigger than Evergrande. But let's look at this article and let's look at this image. Now you can see on this graph that the prices of Evergrande shares went from around 5 Hong Kong dollars to over 30 Hong Kong dollars in a very short period of time. And I keep mentioning this in this channel. Whenever you see a growth that is like that, that growth is not sustainable. And you can see that was at the highest peak somewhere between 2017 and 2018. Now it is being sold for 16 cents per share, which means investors do not have faith that the company is going to recover. The same thing similarly is happening to Country Garden. The question is, what will Xi Jinping do? Because this crisis may take down the economy in China, and if China goes down, there will be contagion to the entire Western world. At least those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know that on the comments below. Still with Bloomberg, US seeks just tough enough response to a deadly Middle East attack. Now what happened is there's a lot of proxy groups, there's a lot of groups being sponsored by Iran. Now they are not per se the military force of Iran, they're just groups that Iran support, such as Hamas. What happened is one of those groups sent a drone attack to a military base in Jordan, and that military base happened to be an American base, and 3 soldiers got killed and many more got wounded. The question is, what will be Biden's response? Biden is in a very tough situation. There's already an internal conflict in the US between Texas and the federal government, where 25 other states are supporting Texas. Now the issue is the US must give a response without triggering war with Iran. Yes, they may have the capability to win a war against Iran, but remember, they also had the capability to win a war in Afghanistan. Now that war, after 20 years, the US left and there was no victory. If they engage in a direct war with Iran, what may happen is Iran may not win, but Iran can definitely close the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz the same way that Houthis have blocked or made it difficult for ships to access the Suez Canal via the Red Sea, what's going to happen is you're going to have a higher price of petrol, because after all, 30% of all petrol in the world passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So the US has to give a response that does not trigger a direct conflict with Iran and does not further escalate conflict in that zone. And that's going to be very difficult for Biden, especially on election year. Now, last but not least, some investigations suggest that some UN workers or some members of the UN-supported group were involved on the October 7. They support and help the attack that occurred on the Jewish people on October 7 by the Hamas group. And there is also some evidence that supports that they not only help and support, but also gave shelter and celebrate the death of the Jewish people. Now that group is the UNRWA, and that group already lost about $500 million in donations on the past 2 days. Now those $500 million will really hurt the group. Now the question that the Western world is asking is, were the UN totally involved in this, or was just a case of some rogue employees that did this? Regardless, they already lost about $500 million in support in just 2 days. And if this group continues to lose support, it's going to be very harmful for the Palestinians or for the Arab people on Israel and other areas. $500 million of lost support in just 2 days will hurt the organization. Now, the leader of the UN said that was a case of a few rogue employees and the UN will conduct investigation. But the thing is, in my view, the UN is already losing status and is losing respect. And with this, I wrap up this video. My question to you is, what do you believe is the most appropriate response for the US military given the attack that happened in Jordan? Please let me know your thoughts on the comments below. This is it for now. Please like, subscribe, and above all, share this video with someone else who you believe can benefit from this. That's it. See you guys next video. Kaboom. Goodbye.